Hi, everyone. My name is Jules Nienart. I'm a project associate for How2Recycle, and I'm happy to be here today at UnPacked to talk to you all about how to recycle, how our labeling system functions, what membership looks like, and answer any questions you have around how to recycle. To start with a bit of context of how How2Recycle became what it is today, I'll tell you a bit about the organization we live under, Green Blue, an environmental nonprofit focused on materials sustainability. We bring together a diversity of stakeholders to encourage innovation and best practices to promote the creation of a more sustainable materials economy. And a piece of Green Blue's work is the Sustainable Packaging Coalition. To give you a little bit more information on the SPC and their work, the SPC narrows in on packaging. The Sustainable Packaging Coalition is an industry working group of member companies throughout the supply chain. Our collective goal is to broaden the understanding of sustainable packaging and develop meaningful packaging solutions. Membership in the SPC provides companies like yours with supply chain collaboration, networking with peer member companies, technical guidance, participation in projects, and access to various research and reports, allowing your company to stay up to date with the latest industry news. They also facilitate collaboratives, which focus on developing solutions to specific packaging challenges most pressing to our members. It is inclusive of all materials, all supply chain positions, even government and academic entities. The SPC has various projects, but what we'll be talking about today is how to recycle, a standardized smart labeling system for recyclability. How to Recycle first started in 2008, a need seen from brands looking for a better way to communicate recyclability. Packaging communication around disposal is still our primary focus today. We even have a sibling labeling system for compostability called How2Compost. So How2Recycle understands that recycling still has big problems that need to be addressed. Most recyclables still end up in landfills today. Recyclers struggle with contamination in many ways, and for consumers, recycling is difficult to understand, making communicating around it a vital step in the solution. SPC brand members saw a need for How2Recycle, and so we finished our soft launch of the labeling system in 2012, and it has evolved into what you see today. How2Recycle is designed with those problems in the recycling system in mind. Our goals: we aim to reduce confusion by creating a clear, well-understood, and nationally harmonized label that enables companies to convey to consumers how to recycle a package, improve the reliability, completeness, and transparency of recyclability claims, provide a labeling system that follows Federal Trade Commission's green guides, and increase the availability and quality of recycled material. How2Recycle is a membership-based labeling system with hundreds of participating brand owners and retailers who are empowering consumers with accurate and consistent labels. We started with a small pilot group of brands, but now we have over 430 brand members that feature the label on their packaging. And we've experienced rapid growth over the past few years and have published insights on industry learnings on our site. Please feel encouraged to check that out. How2Recycle also has a membership structure specifically for material manufacturers and converters so that our reach is beyond just what a consumer may see on shelves. We touch much earlier in the supply chain, giving packaging design feedback to over 135 manufacturers and converters, most of which then supply packaging to our brand owner members. How2Recycle is a great resource in helping communities that have more insight into the recovery of those materials and how to design a more recyclable package. But we're posed with a question that has a complicated answer. What is recyclability? What does it mean to call something recyclable? A RIC, or Resin Identification Code, does not notate recyclability, and just calling something recyclable does not mean it is actually recyclable. So this graphic here on the screen is what recyclability means to us. With every How2Recycle label, brands feature a custom recyclability assessment for each package. Our analysis considers many factors: applicable law, collection, reprocessing, sortation, and end markets. How2Recycle labels are designed to comply with Federal Trade Commission guidance in the US and Competition Bureau Canada's guidance in Canada. These entities help to dictate how we should make marketing claims around sustainability. And so here, recyclability, we continue to consult with FTC on an ongoing basis, and we have even changed specific labels for certain packages as a direct result of FTC feedback. Next, we look at access to recycling, or in other words, how many of the collection programs available to consumers will accept the item. How many communities can accept it through curbside or drop-off recycling? We use the most up-to-date information for collection and keep our members up to date when any changes to access are made. Next is sortation. For those items that are collected in a residential program, what's the likelihood something will be correctly sorted in a MRF and get to the right bale? Then reprocessing. Is there some aspect of the packaging design that's going to cause problems for reprocessors? Like, for example, polycoating on paper or certain closures on plastic containers. And finally, end markets. If there's no market for something, then we don't want to call it recyclable. There's no straightforward, easy way to assess end markets across all materials in a standardized way. Accordingly, we look to a variety of considerations based on the circumstances. I do want to take a minute to note, though, that plastic film is actually a contaminant in curbside recycling, and so eligible PE film must be taken to a collection bin in order to be recovered. Store drop-off is the only recyclability option for flexible packaging in the US that is at scale today. And because the store drop-off stream has such different collection and reprocessing process than other curbside mechanical recycling processes, there are limits around store drop-off applications. So think about a jar of peanut butter and how much residue is left from the product when the jar is empty. It would be unreasonable to expect a consumer to make this package clean and dry before taking it to a store drop-off bin for collection. So finally, at the bottom of this slide, you'll see consistency, common sense, and consumer experience. How to Recycle is all about standardization and consistency across many packaging types. We want to think about common sense. We don't want to let brands call something recyclable when it's not, and we don't want to give consumers existential crisis because they're asked to do surgery on or give a bath to a package. So we think about common sense and real life experience of the consumer. We also think about consistency, so that every new label we make needs to be consistent with same or similar packages that came before it to encourage the sense of standardization across How to Recycle. We take a holistic, thoughtful approach when determining every label, and we translate technical terms into simple language that consumers can understand. We consider how every component can impact the overall recyclability of a package. We provide special instructions as necessary to inform the consumer how to prepare the material for recycling, and we also evaluate the impact of product residue on the package's recyclability. And so that leads us to what the consumer will see on a package, a smarter label. Every How to Recycle label has a few key characteristics, as you can see here on the slide. We delineate between the material and component, include those special instructions the consumer may need. The How to Recycle website will be featured, and we'll also dictate the recyclability of the component. Labels will address all major components of that package. So although the recyclability assessment we give will address feedback for all components, the consumer only sees exactly what they need in order to handle the package. So when a consumer sees a label, brands know that they are directly communicating with their consumer. You can see here that 67% of people assume that if there's no message, they do not think the package is recyclable. Beyond that, we know from our consumer survey reports that there is behavior change in learning coming directly from the label on packages. 70% of consumers change their recycling behavior, and 79% learn from How to Recycle labels. Also, some exciting news. We've recently done some consumer market research that was very positive in terms of the feedback we received around consumer awareness of our label and consumers' interpretation of what to do with packaging that features our label. We hope that we can release this research publicly in the near future. Even if a package is not recyclable, we've found that consumers still have overwhelmingly positive feedback on this messaging. When asked in the consumer survey report how their impression of a company is impacted by a not yet recyclable label, 83% of respondents felt more positively about the brand. Consumers appreciate the transparency of the brand, and when they are disappointed, it's likely because the package is not recyclable. And all of this is done over our member platform, which is our site for brand members. Members are able to track and measure the recyclability of their packaging and get feedback to make improvements of design based off of our recommendations. Also, some exciting news, we'll be rolling out a new version of our member platform in the near future. So the following images are from the current interface, and the new version will include more comprehensive measurements than what you'll see. How2Recycle members are not only able to feature their How2Recycle labels on their packages, but also have direct feedback on how to improve their packages' recyclability. We have a simple grading system for how recyclable your package is. So when we do a custom assessment of your package, you'll receive a label, a designation for overall recyclability, as well as feedback on how you could improve that package. We created 3 color-coded categories for the overall recyclability for packages to make it easy. And we want to let brands know where their packaging falls on the design spectrum. Are they best in class, optimally designed for recyclability, maybe in decent shape with some room to improve, or partially or not yet recyclable? We place each package in one of these categories to give easy to understand feedback to the brands. So the member can see this information at the product level, but also spun up to the portfolio and product category level. Some of our members have told us that they're using these metrics inside their companies to drive packaging design improvements. Many members are using this information to create incentives. Maybe they're motivated because many have developed public recyclability goals and they don't necessarily know how to meet them, or they don't even know how recyclable their packaging is. This helps them understand the scope of their portfolio and work towards these goals. We provide recommendations per individual request. We issue hundreds of recommendations a day to our members, and they take that feedback as direct guidance for packaging design changes. These are just a couple examples of what our design recommendations may look like. Sometimes we tell them they can switch materials, like switching out styrofoam, for example, or moving to a clear PET bottle instead of a colored or opaque PET bottle. These package by package recommendations are based on the deep insights from the APR Design Guide, Recycled Paperboard Technical Association, and other key partners of How2Recycle. Members also have the option to submit packaging specifications for packaging they are considering changing to in their R&D process, and we'll tell them what How2Recycle label they would apply if they chose to use that packaging in the future. This means they can get their R&D team involved earlier in the design process so that they aren't confused and upset that their package isn't recyclable after years of development. How2Recycle has been valuable in different ways for different companies, but to point out a few, How2Recycle sparks internal conversation about recyclability and creates shared meaning across the team as to what recyclability means. It also gives brands an easier way of talking about recyclability with their suppliers. It provides an avenue for packaging innovation, like when used in research and development stages. How2Recycle helps brands connect their consumers with on-pack messaging. It broadens perspective on teams for materials and format choices. And How2Recycle is a way to create success stories from your company. So wherever you are in the supply chain, your team is able to keep recovery in mind through the use and guidance from How2Recycle. So that's all I have for today. And if you're interested in membership or have any questions, you can reach us at howtorecycle@greenblue.org.